Hi everyone, it's Miss Southam here. I'm here today to read you the Michael Morpurgo story of Kaspar, Prince of Cats. It's with great thanks that we thank Harper Collins for allowing us to be able to read this to you today. This is for Year 6 in particular because they're reading this book at the moment, but it's for anybody who really enjoys a Michael Morpurgo story. So let's get going. So chapter 1. The Coming of Kaspar. Prince Kaspar Kandinsky first came to the Savoy Hotel in a basket. I know because I was the one who carried him in. I carried all the Countess's luggage that morning, and I can tell you she had an awful lot of it. But I was a bellboy, so that was my job. To carry luggage, to open doors, to say good morning to every guest I met, to see to their every need, from polishing their boots to bringing them their telegrams. In whatever I did, I had to smile at them very politely, but the smile had to be more respectful than friendly. And I had to remember all their names and titles too, which was not at all easy, because there were always new guests arriving. Most importantly, though, as a bellboy, which, by the way, was just about the lowest of the low at the hotel, I had to do whatever the guests asked me to, and right away. In fact, I was at almost everyone's beck and call. It was, "Jump to it, Johnny," or "Be sharp about it, boy," or "Do this, lickety-split," "Do that, jaldy-jaldy." They'd click their fingers at me and I'd jump to it, lickety-split. I can tell you, particularly, if Mrs. Blaze, the head housekeeper, was on the prowl. We could always hear her coming, because she rattled like a skeleton on the move. This was on account of her huge bunch of keys that hung from her waist. She had a voice as loud as a trombone when she was angry, and she was often angry. We lived in constant fear of her. Mrs. Blaze liked to be called Madame. But on the servants' corridor at the top of the hotel where we all lived, bellboys, chambermaids, kitchen staff, we were called her Skullface, because she didn't just rattle like a skeleton, she looked like one too. We did our very best to keep out of her way. To her, any misdemeanour, however minor, was a dreadful crime. Slouching, untidy hair, dirty fingernails, yawning on duty was the worst crime of all. And that's just what Skullface had caught me doing that morning, just before the Countess arrived. She'd just come up to me in the lobby, hissing menacingly as she passed. "I saw that yawn, young scallywag, and your cap is set too jaunty. You know how I hate a jaunty cap. Fix it. Yawn again, and I'll have your guts for garters." I was just about fixing my cap when I saw the doorman, Mr. Freddy, showing the Countess in. Mr. Freddy clicked his fingers at me, and that was how, moments later, I found myself walking through the hotel lobby alongside the Countess, carrying a cat basket, with the cat yowling so loudly that soon everyone was staring at us. This cat did not yowl like other cats. It was more like a wailing lament, almost human in its tremulous tunefulness. The Countess, with me at her side, swept up to the reception desk and announced herself in a heavy foreign accent, a Russian accent, as I was soon to find out. "I am Countess Kandinsky," she said. "You have a suite of rooms for Kaspar and me. I think there must be a river outside my window, and I must have a piano. I sent you a telegram with all my requirements." The Countess spoke as if she was used to people listening, as if she was used to being obeyed. There were many such people who came through the doors of the Savoy, the rich, the famous, the infamous, business magnates, lords and ladies, even prime ministers and presidents. I don't mind admitting that I never much cared for her haughtiness and their arrogance, but I learned very soon if I hid my feelings well enough behind my smile, if I played my cards right, some of them could give me very big tips, particularly the Americans. Just smile and wag your tail. That's what Mr. Freddy told me to do. He'd been working at the Savoy as a doorman for close on 20 years, so he knew a thing or two. It was good advice. However the guests treated me, I learned to smile back and behave like a winning puppy dog. That first time I met Countess Kandinsky, I thought she was just another rich aristocrat, but there was something I admired about her from the start. She didn't just walk to the lift, she sailed there magnificently, her skirts rustling in a wake, the white ostrich feathers in her hat wafting out behind her like pennants in a breeze. Everyone, including Skullface, I'm glad to say, was bobbing curtsies or bowing heads as we passed by, and all the time I found myself basking unashamedly in the Countess's aura, in her grace and grandeur. I felt suddenly centre stage and very important. As a 14-year-old bellboy, abandoned as an infant on the steps of the orphanage in Islington, I had not had many opportunities to feel so important. So by the time we all got to the lift, the Countess and myself and the cat still wailing in the basket, I was feeling cock-a-hoop. I suppose it must have showed. "Why are you smiling like this?" The Countess frowned at me, ostrich feathers shaking as she spoke. I could hardly tell her the truth, so I had to think fast. Because of your cat, Countess," I replied. "She sounds funny." "Not she. He. And he is not my cat," she said. "Kaspar is no one's cat. He is the prince of cats. He is Prince Kaspar Kandinsky, and a prince belongs to no one, not even a countess." She smiled at me then. "I tell you something. I like it when you smile. English people do not smile so often as they should. They do not laugh. They do not cry. This is a great mistake. We Russians, when we want to laugh, we laugh. When we want to cry, we cry. Prince Kaspar is a Russian cat. At this moment, he is a very unhappy cat, so he cries. This is natural, I think." "Why is he so unhappy?" I found myself asking her. "Because he is angry with me. He likes to stay in my house in Moscow. He does not like to travel. I tell him, how can I go sing in opera in London if we do not travel? He does not listen. When we travel, he always makes big fuss, big noise. When I let him out of the basket, he will be happy again. I will show you." Sure enough,